So, the big question is, how long do you have to wait to find love again? That's the question I'll be discussing in today's podcast. My name is Nwosu, and welcome to the Second Chances podcast, a love journey in black and white. So back to today's question. The truth is, after a divorce, the knee-jerk reaction is to jump right into another relationship because, again, you weren't the problem. You just made a wrong decision about who you chose to marry. But do you notice a pattern? Do you notice that most of these relationships keep ending pretty much the same way? You keep jumping from one bad relationship into another. I know, I used to be there. It was always relationship after relationship, and I still couldn't get it right. So at some point, I had to stop. I had to start asking myself, Joan, how much heartache can one person really take? Why can't you get it right? Why is it so difficult? What is wrong with the men? What is wrong with the environment, with the society? How difficult is this love thing? But the truth was, I was asking the wrong questions. The right question was, what is it about me that isn't allowing me to find love again? What do I need to change for me to be able to attract the kind of love that I had been dreaming of into my life? What does love really look like, and what does it mean to me? What experiences or what lessons was I supposed to learn from this repetitive relationships? I'm telling you, like I would meet people, I would meet guys, we would start to date. I would say, oh, they're completely different from my ex. Months down the line, they weren't the same, just maybe look different. So I started to ask myself the right questions. So not so much as what was happening externally, but what was truly happening internally. Because we all know that your inner reality dictates your outer reality. So I started on my healing journey, a very, very brutal healing journey. It meant I had to face all my demons. I had to come to terms with all my inner child trauma. I had to see how having an absent father had impacted my beliefs around relationships and men. I had to deal with all the abuse that I had gone through as a kid that were unresolved, that I had never spoken to anybody about. How those were impacting my ability to be the type of person that would attract a great partner, but also to be the right way in a relationship that can nurture and sustain it for longer term commitments. The inner healing wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. I started to go down this journey on my own, but eventually I figured out that, geez, Joan, you don't even know what you're talking about. And it was easier for me to run away because I wasn't really accountable to anyone. So I had to hire myself a couple of coaches, no BS coaches, who forced me to be accountable, to look in the mirror and go on this inner healing journey, this very, very painful journey. As I started to realize who I was, I did not like who I had become. I did not even know who I had become. I didn't recognize her. Who was this bad bleep? This is not the person I remembered when I was growing up. This is not the young girl that I remembered. How did I become this new person? I had no idea. But this was the reality of who I had become, and this is why I was attracting the wrong person over and over and over again. So now it was no longer a question of how long does it take to find love, but what do I need to do to be able to find the love? As I went on with the inner healing and finding myself again and building my self-love and my confidence and my self-esteem, at some point I decided I was ready. It was time to get back on the dating apps. So I started going out on dates, and I found that even though I was attracting better quality men, it still wasn't moving forward to the next level. Like, we'll go on a couple of dates and maybe I'll ghost him or he'll ghost me. I still wasn't able to make that deep connection. The truth was, I didn't know how to date. I thought that what worked in the corporate world, where I was a boss lady who took charge and planned everything and just showed up as this super confident, independent woman, would be attractive to the kind of men that I was trying to bring into my world, or maybe bring into his world, to be honest. So I had to go learn how to date all over again. I thought, geez, this is something that should be natural to people, but I found out that it isn't. So I took a couple of courses on dating, especially dating at an older age. And I found out that I didn't even know, from knowing what kind of conversations to ask, how to plan the dates, how to sit in a restaurant. I had no clue how to dress, how to show up. I had no clue how to communicate after the date. I had no clue. So again, it wasn't how long does it take me to find love again. Now it was, geez, how long is it going to take me to learn how to actually date? So that was my number 2. I've done the healing, I've done the inner work, ongoing process. But then the second thing was now learning how to date. So as I continued to go on these dates, because again, practice makes perfect, right? So I kept going on the dates, and every time I'd go on a date and I would start to build some level of connection with someone, I would discover things about myself. Every person I was meeting, or every relationship, was helping me find myself better. And every relationship was better than the previous one. So I knew I was growing. I knew something was shifting. I knew I was changing. I know that the person who had gotten married for the wrong reasons was no longer the person who stood here today. I now knew who I was and what I wanted. It was clear. So someday I'll talk about my list. Maybe I'll just read the list so you can see what it was that I put down when I decided to manifest, when I was finally ready to manifest my soulmate. I knew I was ready. It wasn't a fluke. I was ready. I had been off the apps for a while, and so one day I said, you know what? It's time. It's time. So I went over my list, went back on the apps, and boom, 2 days later, I met up with Davide. We matched. We set up a date, went on the first date, saw each other maybe every other day for the next 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, we became official. And for those who don't know the story, he proposed 4 weeks after that. So again, it might seem that things happened really quickly, but it didn't. It's like a professional who's been hired for a job with 20 years experience. You're not paying for just because you have a university degree. You're paying for the 20 years of experience that they've learned at other companies that they're going to be bringing into your organization. So even though it might seem like 8 weeks after I met this amazing man, we were engaged, but the truth is, it was all the years of work I had to do. 7 years. 7 years of pain, with some joys as well, because I did date some fantastic men as well. But it was a lot of inner healing, a lot of learning how to date, a lot of gaining clarity on what it was that I wanted, on knowing my values, knowing who I was, knowing who I had to become so that I could attract that type of love that I was deeply desiring. So, my message to you today is, rather than focusing on how quickly you want to start all over, how quickly you want to get into a relationship, how quickly you want to get married again, focus on the inner work. That's the first step. You have to do the inner work. And a quick way to gauge where you are is look at the results that you have. If you're still attracting the wrong kind of people, or you cannot move any relationship forward, then it means that there's still some healing that needs to be done in your life. The sooner you start working on that healing, the sooner you can answer the other question, how long does it take to fall in love, when the healing is done. The healing needs to be done. You need to figure out who you are, learn who you are, go back to who your true essence, who you've always been, because it never went away. Experiences and, dare I say, bad relationships have created this person that you are today. So it's not about you being a bad person, or being. I already spoke about worthiness yesterday. If you did not hear it, please go and listen to that podcast. You're worthy. You're worthy of being loved. You're lovable. You're beautiful. You're perfect. But life has happened to you, as it does happen to all of us. And at some point, you have to tell yourself the truth. It is not working. So look at the results that you're getting today in your dating world. And if you don't like what you're seeing, it's a sign that there's still some inner work that needs to be done. So start with the inner work today. Learn how to date again. Figure out what you truly want, what your true desires are, what your values are, and how can you become the person that can attract that kind of man or that kind of woman into your life. It starts with you. So, how long does it take to find love again? However long the healing takes. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, Second Chances. My name is Joan, sending you love and light, and I'll see you tomorrow.